Okay.
Mr. Parent Chief, would you like to commence?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd just like to open the session of the commission.
Before you begin, I see that Mr. Hollis has entered the room. Can we just do a quick mic check on Mr. Hollis, please?
Sure, we're presently on Facebook.
Yes, good morning. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, we are.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning. Morning, everyone. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Council.
Morning to the Ms. Franco and Mr. Hollis. Is Commissioner Starling online?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I couldn't see you. Thank you very much. It's a continuation, Mr. Chairman, of what is known as the Franco claim. I would ask that the witness, Miss Franco, I wonder if she has a Bible nearby her. For her to be sworn, could you hold the Bible in your right hand? I swear by Almighty God. You may use two hands if it's a little heavy. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence.
That the evidence.
That I shall give.
That I shall give.
To this Commission of Inquiry.
To this Commission of Inquiry.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Mr. Hollis, would you wish to affirm or to speak the truth?
I have a Bible with me. I can.
Okay, please, or to affirm or swear on the Bible. Yes, please. Could you repeat after me? I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
This Commission of Inquiry.
This Commission of Inquiry.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Franco, we are going to resume at slide 131. Today, all being well, we're going to complete this exercise in respect of the evidence to be led in respect of this claim. I just ask the Secretariat at this time to take us to slide 131, where we shall continue. Is Mrs. Khan joining us, or?
She just joined us.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Khan, are you able to access the video? If you are to give evidence, we'll have to have you either sworn or to affirm to speak the truth. Secretariat, is Mrs. Khan, has she been admitted?
Mrs. Khan is in the meeting right now. I just don't believe she has her camera on.
Okay, we'll proceed. Then ideally it would be good if you could make contact with her so she could be sworn before, so we would not need to interrupt during the proceedings. Okay, let us proceed. Please take us to slide 131, Secretariat.
Council, Miss Khan just turned on her camera as well. She just needs to be unmuted so she can be sworn.
Okay. I'm not seeing her presently. Chairman, are you seeing the witness? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Kanji, do you have a Bible there with you?
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Yes. I swear by Almighty God, please hold it in your right hand for me. Hold the Bible in your right hand. I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence
that the evidence
I shall give
that I shall give
the Commission of Inquiry
Commission of Inquiry,
shall be the truth,
it will be the truth,
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You may
You're welcome.
please mute your microphones, and please be reminded if at any time you wish to participate, please identify yourself. Now, Ms. Franco, I take you to slide 131. And on the last occasion, we had got to this slide, and we'll just continue here. This slide represents what, Madam? Slide 131.
Slide 131 represents number 9 Bosses Cove Road, Pembroke.
Thank you. Now, the illustration as appears on the screen, which is part of the exhibit, what exactly do you wish to bring to the attention of the commissioners, Madam?
This slide represents a property that is owned by my family. And at the present, it is said it is owned by Mr. Carl Source. This property is part of the indenture and deed of Anne Amelia Wood, who was conveyed by inheritance to family members to date.
Okay, thank you very much. And this document was obtained from where, Madam?
This document was obtained from part of the paperwork that I had received from my grandmother in her stacks of research on trying to obtain the land back to our family.
Thank you very much. Could you take us to the next slide?
This is also another version of a hand drawing of the property in Bosses Cove.
This document you also received in the stack of paper from your grandmother.
Yes, Council.
And what does this represent, Madam?
This also represents another version of the property situated at number 9 Bosses Cove, which is the top right property.
And when you say top right, what exactly do you mean, Madam?
The top right square on the diagram.
Rectangle. Or rectangle, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Secretary, could you just assist me with the cursor to identify the area that is being referred to by the witness? Is that the square
Yes.
that you referred to, Madam?
Yes, Council.
Thank you very much. Now, the document is referred to as a hand drawing of the property. And are you able to give us an insight as to that, madam?
This,
I mean specifically, it says hand drawing as against it being something generated by a machine. Is that the distinction?
no, Council, it was actually drawn by hand. It has a date on it on 1932, and it was revised again in 1935.
Now, drawn by who and revised by who, madam?
The information at the bottom is not legible, so I can't speak to that, Council.
Okay, thank you. Could you take us to the next slide, madam?
Before we go to the next slide, Council, are we able to bring up the additional information submitted before in reference to number 9, Bosses Cove?
Well, just give us some guidance what you're referring to, because the secretariat would now need to go and
From the last session, there was some additional information submitted that we were using. I would like to speak to that before we proceed.
certainly. Secretariat, could you just share with me what were the last, I believe the last 3 or 4 exhibit numbers?
Please pardon the break. The last number was VF18. And I just found the document that the witness is referring to. Do I have permission to share it on screen for confirmation?
Was it made an exit and there were exhibits, correct?
Yes, there were exhibits. The last exhibit number was VF18. This has not been entered into, this has not been tendered, the document that she's referring to.
Or it has not been? Okay, yeah, please project it and then I'll make an application to the chairman. Could I just ask that the secretary that a check could be made? I am almost certain that they had been made exhibits. It is just for us to determine the exhibit number. Could you just review that position in respect of the exhibit book? Otherwise, I will, as indicated, make the application.
Council, we just have confirmation that the first slide, this one slide alone has been entered as VF14A, VF14B, and VF14C.
Thank you very much. Ms. Franco, exhibits 14A, 14B, and 14C. These are the exhibits you wish to make reference to at this time?
Council, I would like to go to VF 18.
VF 18. Secretary, could you assist us by going to VF 18?
I believe this one is VF18.
Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Franco.
Thank you, Council. This is another diagram that shows number 9 Bosses Cove in the middle. And on this diagram, it shows 104 feet to the right. And it shows 88 feet on the left, which says near the estate of James A. Pearman.
Now, what you refer to as the left, west, what is it that you're referring us to about the estate of Pearman? Where does that appear, madam?
That is where the number 11 is on the left of the diagram as you look at it.
Right, but you say it refers to Pearman's land. On what basis do you make that point, madam?
On the diagram, it has 88 feet, which is the border of the property.
Yes, that western side, yes.
Yes. So I'm making reference to this, that this is number 9 Bosses Cove. And where it says 63 feet at the top of the diagram, this property is actually part and parcel of so let me backtrack. So when they measured this property, their property was originally much larger. So to disguise or make it not known that this is actual part of number 11, they divided the property and gave it different measurements.
Can you prove that, Ms. Franco?
I will prove it on the next slide, Council.
And I just wish to correct myself when I said the left side represents the west. I will just withdraw that because it appears that that is not in keeping with the cardinal points. We're looking at the document from sideways. Now, I recall on the last occasion you had been asked by me in reference to these numbers that appear in what appears to be blue ink. You had made these markings on the document, which is exhibit VF18.
Yes, Council, so that I understood the exact location of each property. So I understood, so I had a clearer picture of how to describe my evidence.
And you're now saying that you're of the opinion, which you say you are going to prove, that that an attempt was being made to disguise the true size of the lot associated with where?
With number 11, Bosses Cove.
Okay. Yes, please, please proceed. You wish to go to, okay. You may proceed, madam.
On this slide, there are 3 pictures or articles. I would like to start with the first article on the left where it says Hallett and Whitney received from Ms. Oates, July 23, 1934. If that could be made larger, please. Earlier in my presentation, I presented this document, which is a receipt, which was received from my great aunt, Miss Charlotte Oates. It was dated July 23, 1934. This is a list of documents that she received from Hallett, Whitney, and Patton that she had in her possession. These are lists This is a list of deeds and indentures, release and lease of land that she owned back in 1934. And on this document also states that she owned number 9 Bosses Code. Can we go proceed to the next document? And if you could make this, I will read it from the copy that I have. And this is in reference to number 9 Bosses Code. In accordance with the requirements of the Parish Vestry Act 1929, you are hereby notified that on the 3rd of August, 1945, Joseph Henry Soares became entitled to all that certain parcel of land situated in Pembroke Parish in the Isles of Bermuda, bounded northwestly by a roadway of 12 feet or thereabouts in width, separating the land now being described from land at one time held by Elizabeth Robinson and Samuel Stowe, and now of the devise of Nathaniel Augustus Butterfield, deceased, and measuring along the said roadway 63 feet northeasterly by land at one time held by the said Samuel Stovall, and now of the devise and of the said Nathaniel Augustus Butterfield, and there measuring 104 feet southwesterly by the waters of Bosses Cove, and there measuring 70 feet and 6 inches, and southwesterly by land formerly held with the land now being described and now in the possession of Ambrose Ball, and there measuring 88 feet, which said parcel of land is intersected by a tribe road leading from the direction of the premises known as Oxford to the public road at the northeastern end of the inlet known as the Mills, or hereafter, or however otherwise the said parcel of land may be bounded, may measure, or ought to be described together with the dwelling house thereon erected and all the appurtenances thereunto belonging by the gift from Joseph Soares Figueroa, and it is requested that the same be transferred in the parish assessment book recorded Conyers-Deal and Pearman, October 1st, 1945. I would like to also mention that Conyers-Deal and Pearman.
Just before you go any further, the document that you're reading from, we are only seeing one page on this slide. Do you have a signed copy? Okay, we're now seeing the signature. How many pages does this consist of?
Just one page, Council.
And it's signed and dated?
October 1st, 1945.
And you have a hard copy of this document?
Yes, Council.
In keeping with the protocol that is being observed by the Bermudan government now, and you are in a state of lockdown, I want to ask you to, I'll just make a note that this hard copy is to be provided to the Secretariat, but for the purposes of the exercise, this document consisting of one page, which appears on slide number, is this 133? I'm not seeing the entire page. On slide 137, just to produce a hard copy to the Secretariat. Yes, you may continue, ma'am. You were saying something.
As you see at the bottom, it says, how did Joseph Figueroa Soares obtain the land, or from whom did he obtain the land from? As I stated in an earlier presentation, the deed of Anne Amelia Wood and her husband Richard Wood, when they purchased this land back in 1882, it was a dwelling house and a plot of land or parcel of land of 50 feet square, and it'll with a parcel of land of 100 feet square. And that is the land referring to as number 9 Bosses Cove.
Okay. The note, what appears on the slide 137, how did Joseph Figueredo Soares
Source.
obtain the land, or from whom? Those notes were made by you?
Correct, Consul.
Yes, you may proceed, madam.
Can we go to the next diagram on the same slide, please?
You mean to the right? Okay.
Yes.
Still on slide 137. You may proceed, madam.
So this is a transfer, a property transfer that was found at the Bermuda Archives.
Sorry, just for clarity, it says property transfer particular.
Yes.
Okay, you may proceed.
And this is in reference to number 9 Bosses Cove. At the top right, it says plan number (32-31). And I wrote in blue ink, should be SB, should be 32-30. And this says it was date of transfer.
Just a minute, please. You wrote SB, which you're saying that means should be,
Yes,
and you're writing that it should be plan number 32-30.
that's correct, which is the reference number that was given to that particular property on the Pembroke map.
You may proceed, madam.
So this date of transfer was the 3rd of August, 1945, received in the office of the parish vestry, the 2nd of October, 1945. Mode of transfer says gift. Date accepted was November 14th, 1945. This particular document states that Joseph Figueredo Soares gifted number 9 Bosses Cove in 1945 to Joseph Henry Soares.
I'm sorry, could you just take us back where you're making reference now to names? Where is that information contained?
The very bottom section of this
Slide.
It says Joseph Figueredo Soares, the disposer, the person who owned the property at the time.
Sorry. Just and just for clarity, where the cursor appears now,
Yes,
I'm sorry, just take it up to the first column. What word appears there before the name Soares Joseph Henry? What word is that?
acquire, the person who is acquiring the property.
Okay, so and I'm not giving evidence. So what you're showing us on this slide, there are 2 charts. One refers to acquirer, and the other one, what?
Disposer.
Yes, please just take us, that's just for clarity, so we understand exactly what you're saying. Please proceed.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the bottom chart where it says disposer. The person is Joseph Figueredo Soares. He's saying that in 1945, he is the person that owns this particular property, number 9 Bosses Cove. And on the date of November 14th, 1945, it was accepted by the parish vestry that he can gift this property to Joseph Henry Source, the acquirer. In 1945, my ancestors, my family still owned this property. It was never sold. It was never gifted. It was never transferred to anyone other than through inheritance to family. Joseph Source and Joseph Henry Source are not family.
Okay. So is there any comment that you make about this part of the document then, in terms of its?
Yes, Council, it is a false document. It is not a valid document. And the reason why I state this is because I still have the original deed in my possession. And I have obtained enough information from the Bermuda Archives, the Registry General's Office, as well as the paperwork that my grandmother had previous done her research that is in my possession to say that we still owned this property.
Thank you, Madam. Now, this document also, which you have made reference to, which is the, could you take us to the top of this document, Secretariat? Which is a property transfer of particulars. You also have a hard copy of this document, Madam?
Yes, Council.
I'm just going to ask that a note be made that all the documents which appear on slide 137, they are to be forwarded in hard copy to the Commissioner of Inquiry Secretariat's office as soon as the protocols allow you so to do.
Yes, Council.
You wish to take us to the next slide, Madam? Sorry, before we go there, I had asked you earlier a question. You had taken us to VF 18. You had indicated also, well, most importantly, that what is number 11 on the document, the appearance was being given that the lot was a different one from which it actually is. I had asked you for proof of that. Could you just address that point now for me, please?
Yes, Council. So I addressed it by reading the information on the next slide,
The deed?
which was the written transfer of the property of number 9 that was documented in the parish vestry.
Yes, but just take us through why you say that the document establishes or proves that it was a different size from which is represented on the document. Just point us directly to the evidence for that, please.
Evidence I had read in a previous presentation of the mortgage. When I read the information on when the mortgage was settled by Richard Wood and Amelia Wood, it stated that it was, hold on. It stated that it was 2 lots that they had purchased. And it says that the first lot was 50 square feet, which was a number 11. And next to it, which was a separate lot, which was at that time considered a garden. It didn't have anything on it back in 1882. And it says 100 square feet bounded easterly and southwesterly by the waters of Boston's Cove, southerly and southwesterly, partly by the above described lot and partly by the said land formerly of Miss Elizabeth Robinson, which is the same name that appears on the document in the middle, and others deceased afterwards of the late Nathaniel Butterfield, also deceased, and now in the possession of his devise, and westerly and northerly by land formerly of Samuel Stovall, deceased, and now in the possession of the devise of the said Nathaniel Butterfield, deceased. And this refers to number 9, Boston's Cove. And this same description is also in the head of mortgages that I read in a previous presentation.
Okay. I'm going to move on now, but I'm just going to ask you at probably after the lunch break, just to return to the point, because I know you now make reference to a previous presentation, but just now you have made an assertion in respect of the size of the area and an attempt being made to you disguise the true size. So I'm just going to ask you to probably after the break to return to that point for us, but I'm going to ask you just to proceed at this time.
Sure, Council, just to make a note, it was in reference to slide 118 of my previous presentation, which we'll visit later.
Thank you. You could just proceed for the time being.
Sure, thank you. Can we go back to the original presentation, please?
You may proceed, ma'am.
We are starting at slide 134. And this is in reference to number 7, Bosses Cove Road, Pembroke. It's also marked as Lot B. On this slide, you will see the assessment numbers for this particular lot. It has a main house at the upper level and an apartment on the lower level. On this slide, you will see marked in red a right angle triangle of number 7, Bosses Cove. Next slide. So this is the estate of Miss Anne Amelia Wood, will to her daughter, Miss Grace Charlotte Phillip Oates. Property was willed to Miss Grace Charlotte Phillip Oates on her death in her last will and testament dated the 10th of February, 1956, left the property to her niece, my great-grandmother, Charlotte Alice Wood Wellman. Miss Charlotte Alice Wood Wellman, on her death in her last will and testament dated the 7th of February, 1967, left this property to my late father.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Is everyone hearing? I believe there may be a power cut in parts of the island. Is everyone, commissioners, are you hearing?
I believe we've lost Cindy. I'm not sure about Stephen.
I'm here.
Just St. George's is being affected.
Okay.
Stevens here, okay.
Mr. Commissioner Parent Chief,
Looks frozen.
and also the Secretariat.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, I'm hearing you now. I was just trying to ascertain, Chairman, if there was a disruption of the power supply and how wide it was in respect of the members. I know one member of the Secretariat in St. George's Parish has an issue. I was just ascertaining the extent of it.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, thank you. And the Secretariat is still with us. You may proceed, Ms. Franco.
The last, this property, my great grandmother on her death and her last will and testament dated 7th of February, 1967, willed it to my late father, Mr. George Stamford Llewellyn Hollis. Next slide.
Thank you.
This property is currently owned by John Kyle. And he acquired the property from Wendy Evans Kyle.
Secretary, could you remind me if whether we had sent an adverse notice to the named person?
I can confirm that an adverse notice has been sent to John Kyle.
Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Franco.
Next slide.
You may proceed, Ms. Franco.
Can we have the
Sure.
president back up, please? Next slide.
Yes, thank you. Slide 137.
Slide 137.
You may proceed, madam.
This is slide 137. It's a memorandum of mortgage dated the 16th of March, 1987 for Wendy Evans Kyle with further description of the above mentioned property and former owners. So the former owners mentioned on this slide is Florence Marie McHale, Robert Oscar Tribbley, and George Ort Whitney. And this refers to Lot B, an estimate of 0.236 of an acre.
And this is Lot B of 7 Bosses Cove Road.
That's correct, Council. Next slide. Further information that I have searched. In 1983, Wendy Evans Kyle purchased this property, Mr. Nigel and Miss Gloria Prescott. Next slide, please.
You're now on slide 139.
That's correct. And this is where Wendy Evans Kyle purchased the property from William Nigel and Gloria Prescott. And this information,
What do you rely on to say that, madam?
can you repeat that, please, Counsel?
What do you rely on to say that the purchase was made, madam? What document?
Based on the document on the far right of this slide, which shows the information that the property was sold from Nigel and Gloria Prescott to Wendy Evans Kyle.
What's the
in
name of that document,
19
madam?
It just says notice to the Registry General. And it was prepared by Hallett, Whitney, and Patton, who was also the law firm for my great aunt Charlotte Oates.
You have a hard copy of this document which appears on slide 139 to the right-hand side of the slide, madam.
Yes, Counsel.
I was going to ask that in addition to the documents that I referred to on slide 137, I'm going to ask you to provide this at the convenient time to the Secretariat, please.
Yes, Counsel.
Counsel, could I make an inquiry?
Sure, Chairman.
At what point will we give these documents exhibit numbers?
But Chairman, we'll certainly have to return to that, Chairman, because at this time, because of the physical distance that we are required to maintain, we have the presentation that we're being taken through now is already an exhibit. What I'm going to do, Chairman, is on another date, when the documents have been furnished to the Commission, I'm going to ask you to consider the application to have them formally tendered, Chairman.
Thank you. That's for the record. Thank you very much, Counsel.
Please proceed, Ms. Franco.
The document on the far right is the notice that was addressed to the Registry General's office. It says, in accordance with the requirements of the Registry General Recording of Documents Act 1955, and as the attorneys for the parties concerned, we hereby give you notice that the persons hereinafter mentioned became entitled to an interest in the parcel of land hereafter described. It's dated the 18th of October, 1983, name in full, Wendy Evans Kyle, address in full, Tam Marina, number 7 Bosses Cove Road, Pembroke, Bermuda. Nationality Bermudians, date of birth over 21 years, nature of interest acquired, fee simple, mode of acquisition, conveyance, date of sanction, not applicable. Full name of persons whom acquired, William Nigel Prescott and Gloria Prescott. Description of land, all that certain lot of land situated at Pembroke Parish in the Isles of Bermuda, together with the dwelling house thereon erected, known as Tam Marina, more particularly described in the attached schedule, dated the 18th day of November, 1983. Assessments number 12-372-012, assessment number 12-372-3019. Barristers and
Just a minute. Secretary, could you enlarge the page because we're not seeing clearly where the witness is reading from in terms of the assessment numbers? at the foot of the page.
You're going too far.
Council, I cannot make it any larger as a presentation. That's the largest it can go.
Okay, thank you.
However, commissioners do have a copy of this given to them, a copy of VF5, which has that document embedded within the presentation.
Thank you very much. Proceed, Ms. Franco. You're reading the assessment numbers, but I'm having a difficulty seeing clearly. But please proceed.
Barristers and attorneys for this signed on this document is Hallett, Whitney, and Pattern. And the purchase price was $375,000 for a prime property, waterfront property location at that time.
Well, the purchase price is not necessarily the market value, but you're relying on this purchase price.
Correct. Based
Correct.
on the document.
Now, in respect of the, thank you very much. I've been assisted by Commissioner Starling with an enlarged version. Could you share with us what is that stamp that appears at the bottom right-hand corner?
The stamp in the bottom right-hand corner states, received in the Registry General, Bermuda, November 17, 1983.
Thank you. Now, anything further you wish to share with us in relation to this slide, Madam, and number 7, Bosses Cove?
Number 7, Bosses Cove. On this particular slide states that it was purchased by Wendy Kyle from Nigel Prescott. And I actually know this particular property because I used to visit their residence. So I'm very familiar with the location of this property and the size of it and the fact that it has waterfront property rights.
And just to take you back to the document on slide 139, the purchase price you referred to is $375,000 in 1983.
Yes, Council.
And you did indicate that you have the opinion this is prime real estate.
Yes, Council.
Now, you also just indicated that you used to visit this actual lot and you're familiar with the size of it. Is there anything further that you wish to add with regards to the claim that you make on behalf of your family members?
Yes, Council, that this is property that which we also owned at number 7, Bosses Cove Road, Pembroke.
Okay. Thank you, Madam.
Next slide.
You are now taking us to slide 140.
Yes, Council.
And proceed, man.
This slide represents a notice 83/125 with attached schedule and plan of land dated the 5th of July, 1948 for the above mentioned property, number 7 Bosses Cove, Pembroke, owned by Wendy Evans Kyle, which she purchased from William Nigel and Gloria Prescott. On the schedule on the far right refers to a lot of land in Pembroke Parish. And it is plan annexed to an indenture dated the 14th day of December, 1965, made between Florence Marie McHale of the first part and the other Robert Horace Tribley of the second part and George Orette Whitney of the third part, and thereon outlined in pink and designated Lot B, containing by estimation 0.236 of an acre and bounded northeasterly by land, now or formerly of Philip Maynard Petty, and they're measuring 177.75 feet southeasterly by the waters of Bosses Cove, and they're measuring 29.5 north, southerly by a roadway 80 feet wide, call it yellow on the said plan, separating the lot of land now being described from land of Joseph Soares, and measuring along the said roadway 108 feet, and westerly by a roadway 16 feet wide, call it yellow, on the said plan, separating the lot of land now being described from land of Isabel Marie Petty, and measuring along the said roadway 142 feet, or herever otherwise the said lot of land may be bounded, may measure, or ought to be described together with the dwelling house and dock thereon erected, and all other buildings, fixtures, walls, fence, ways, right-of-ways, rights, liberties, privileges, easements, advantages, and opportunities, whatsoever to the said lot of land belonging or in any wise appertaining or usually held or enjoyed therewith or reputed as part thereof or I keep getting stuck on this right. Apputant thereto, and especially together with full, free, and unrestricted right and liberty of way and passage for the purchaser, the heirs, and assign the owners of, for the time being, of the lot of land herein before described, and her and their tenants and servants and all other lawful authorities, persons with or without animals and vehicles of all descriptions over and along the said roadway 80 feet wide, colored yellow on the said plan, leading westerly along the southern boundary of the lot of land hereinbefore described to the roadway next hereinafter described, and also over and along the said roadway 16 feet wide, colored yellow on the said plan, leading northerly along the western boundary of this lot of land hereinbefore described, and thence in varying northerly and easterly direction to the, and that's where it stops.
So you have drawn our attention to this document, the schedule, to illustrate what, madam?
That these are the measurements of the property that was acquired by Wendy Kyle from William Nigel and Gloria Prescott, which is also part of the property of the estate of Anne Amelia Wood.
Thank
Next,
you.
141. This is the schedule and plan attached to the written, this is the plan of the land attached to the written schedule. And as you can see on this plan of land, it has number 7 marked out. And it also shows areas of land or property owned by, formerly or presently owned by persons at that time. You can also see on this plan of land that is dated April 1948, surveyed by Burdett and Adams, signed the 5th of July, 1948, and has William Adams, Colonial Secretary's signature on it. And you can see from this, it has number, at the far bottom, it has number 13, Miss Charlotte Oates, the property in which she owned and we still currently own in the family. And then it has number 11, Bosses Cove, as we go up the diagram. And then we see number 9, Cove View, Joseph Source, and then number 7 at the far top.
You also have a hard copy of this document, which is on slide 141, the diagram, Madam.
Yes, Council.
Just going to ask that you include this also to share with the Secretariat, as also that which appears on slide 139 and that which appears on slide 137.
Yes, Council.
And just for clarity, in terms of these slides, and especially this slide, the point that is being made, the submission that is being made by you on behalf of the beneficiaries, is that you're just tracing for us how the land passed or was transferred to other persons, notwithstanding the fact that you still are in possession of the original deeds and that the land has not been sold, gifted, or transferred by any family member to anyone else.
That's correct, Council.
Thank you. You may proceed, Madam.
Slide 142. Slide 142 is a memo required by the Alien Act 126, Section 5.2, dated the 14th of December, 1965, says the property of number 7 Bosses Cove.
All right, just a minute, Ms. Franco. Commissioners, are you able on your copy to see clearly this document?
It's faint, but yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Starling and stop. Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Franco.
Dated the 14th of December, 1965, from Florence Marie McHale to Robert Uskler Tribley. A bit of history, Mr. Tribley was also the gentleman who owned a store in Hamilton many years ago called Tribley's. And he sold gentlemen's attire and on Queen Street. So he was the person that purchased this property from Florence Marie McHale. And on this particular memorandum, it is noted as Lot B, and it refers to as 0.236 acres. And this particular document was once again was done by the attorneys of Hallett, Whitney, and Patton for Robert Oscar Tribley. This was registered the 11th day of January, 1966. Hallett, Whitney, and Patton, as I've mentioned before, was also the law firm for my great aunt, Charlotte Oates.
Thank you.
Next slide.
Slide 143.
Slide 143.
You may proceed, Madam.
So this is a memorandum of acquisition of land from and or by alien. So this is a document stating that Florence Marie McHale purchased number 7 Bosses Cove from Robert Horace Petty in 1960, the 19th of August, 1960. Florence Marie McHale was an American, so she had to get permission to purchase the land through the Alien Act. And as we see halfway down the document, it says Lot B, 37 purchase and 27 square yards, which refers to 0.236 of an acre. And she also purchased Lot A, which is 16 purchase and 20 square yards, 0.0118, which refers to number 18 Bosses Cove, which I will speak about in another presentation. So at this time in 1960, she purchased 2 pieces of land from Robert Horace Petty, a Lot A and a Lot B. Next slide, 144.
Sorry, just to take you back to slide 143. It's going to ask also at this document that you rely on, that this document could also, that appears on slide 143, it is submitted to the Secretariat of the Commission of Inquiry.
Yes, Council. Slide 144. This is a continuation of the memorandum of acquisition of land from and or by alien by Florence Marie McHale, purchasing it from Robert Horace Petty in 19th of August, 1960. On this page, you would also see it refers to land being described of the said Joseph Soares and Charlotte Oates, Charlotte Grace Philip Oates. Also signed by Hallett, Whitney, and Patton, barristers at law, recorded the 21st of December, 1960.
Thank you.
Slide.
And you go ahead.
No, I was going to go to the next slide. Your question, Council.
Yes, the illustration once again. What exactly are you showing us by summary?
The illustration of number 7 outlined in the red right angle triangle. This is property that is owned by my family, and it is now stated that this property was purchased and sold over the years to its current owners.
And you are challenging the legality of that, ma'am?
Yes, counsel.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Next slide. So this slide shows at the far bottom, memorandum required by the Alien Act 1926, which refers to number 7 Bosses Cove. It is a voluntary conveyance from John Henry Petty from Mary Elizabeth Petty to John Henry Petty. And this refers to Lot B and Lot A, in which I just spoke about. This is dated the 13th of November, 1948. So between 1948 and 1960, the property was owned by the Pettys. And I would like to know how they obtained this property.
Well, I'm not making light of it, but that we know how there's a transfer, but you specifically mean the legal base upon which someone else transferred it to them. That's what you mean?
Yes, counsel, yes. Next slide, 146. This is just a further description of the land, number 7 Bosses Cove, when the property was transferred from Mary Elizabeth Petty to.
You're on slide 147 now, or 146?
146.
Okay. And also, just to ensure we just understand, as we go along through your presentation in respect of showing either acquisition of the beneficiary's property or the disposal of it, you're just demonstrating the persons who acquired, but anyone who acquired any of these or came into possession of any of these properties, you're disputing the legality of it.
Yes, counsel.
Okay. You may proceed, slide 146.
Slide 146 is just a further description of the memorandum required by the Alien Act from Mary Elizabeth Petty, who sold the property, who voluntarily conveyed the property to John Henry Petty on the 13th of November, 1948. Next slide, 147. So on this slide, it's a letter from Appleby, Sterling, and Kemp to Mrs. Hallett, Whitney, and Patton, dated the 28th of March, 1977, on behalf of my grandmother, Miss Margaret Hollis, read the estate of Robert Horace Petty to confirm legal ownership. And I will read this letter as dated the 28th of March, 1977, by hand to Hallett, Whitney, and Patton, barristers and attorney, Church Street, Hamilton. Dear sirs, the estate of Robert Horace Petty, we have been consulted by Miss Margaret Genevieve Hollis concerning the notice which you recently placed in the Royal Gazette regarding the estate of the late Robert Horace Petty. Our client claims on behalf of her mother, Charlotte Ellis Wood Wellman, to be entitled to the certain land in the Bosses Cove area. Therefore, we hereby give you notice that as soon as all relevant information is in our office, the necessary steps will be taken to prove our client's title, and if appropriate, the relevant proceedings will be instituted. Please acknowledge receipt of this letter by signing the enclosed carbon copy. Yours faithfully. Received by S. Darrell Hallett Whitney and Patton, the 28th of March, 1977.
Could I just ask you to remind me, well, to assist me, that's the 28th of March? I'm not seeing the date.
28th of March,
Thank you.
at the top and the bottom, 1977.
Thank you. Please
So
proceed.
this letter demonstrates that in 1977, my grandmother had started her inquiry into the legal ownership of the property, which we knew we owned it, but she wanted to ascertain how did the Pettys, for the Pettys to confirm legal ownership.
Thank you. Also, this document here, and going ahead, any document upon which you place reliance, because we are not
Yes,
together in the same place, I'm going to ask that they are forwarded to the Secretariat at the earliest convenient time.
yes, Council. Next slide.
Slide 149.
Yes, okay. Okay, so now we are on number 18 Bosses Cove Road. Just bear with me a minute. So, number 18 Bosses.
Just before you go to number 18 that you're going on, just by way of recap so we understand, you have already dealt with number 9, number 11, number 7,
Yes, Council.
and now we're going on to 18.
Yes, Council.
Okay. You may proceed.
Number 18 Bosses Cove, Pembroke, is a residential house, one building. As you can see on the diagram in front, it is outlined in red. This is also Lot A. A few minutes ago, I spoke about Lot B, which was number 7. That was purchased by Florence Marie McHale from the Pettys. So she purchased Lot B, which was number 7, and she also purchased Lot A, which is number 18, Bosses Cove.
Please repeat that for me in terms of the purchase and the purchaser.
Sure. I referred to in number 7 that Florence Marie McHale on the 19th of August, 1960, purchased 2 lots. She purchased a Lot B, which is number 7, 0.236 acres, and she purchased Lot A, which is 0.11 acres. And Lot A is referred to in this diagram as number 18, Bosses Cove.
Thank you.
slide 150. So lot 18 is also a part of the estate of Miss Anne Amelia Wood, which has been passed on through family and which is currently, it is currently owned by someone else, but it was never transferred, sold, or conveyed to anyone outside of our family. Next slide, 151. So here on this diagram, we have two diagrams, one dated the 4th of June, 1958. And the other one is dated April 1948. And it's just to show that between 10 years, the way the property has been conveyed. On the first,
Sorry, how does it, you go ahead.
on the first diagram, it says the 4th of June, I think that says 1958. You could see the bottom right angle triangle is the property that I am currently speaking about, number 18 Bosses Cove. And then on the right side of that same diagram is number 7 Bosses Cove. And these are the two properties that were purchased by Florence Marie McHale and then later sold to various persons or transferred. And the diagram on the far right, which has numbers, number 17, number 18, number 9, number 11, number 13, shows the proximity of the properties that my family owned.
These documents that you referred to on slide 151, where did you obtain these diagrams, madam?
These documents were part of the information that my grandmother had in her possession. Miss Margaret Genevieve Hollis.
And the diagrams were produced by who, madam? Does it indicate?
It says that the one on the left, it says plan of land in Pembroke Parish. Surveyed and plotted by T.M. D.B. Godet, the 4th of June, 1958. And the one on the right, it says plan of land in Pembroke Parish. Surveyors Godet and Adams. It says April 1948 revised, and I think that's what it says.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask that the hard copies of these documents also are shared with the Secretariat at the earliest convenient time.
Yes,
And I ask the Secretariat to make a note of it as I go along, because I have so far indicated slide 150 through to a number of slides earlier. You may proceed, madam.
Next slide.
Slide 152.
Slide 152. So slide 152 is a notice 01/138 with attached plan of land dated the 6th of March, 2002 for number 18 Bosses Cove says it's currently owned by Carolyn Joanne Rayner, Andre Stewart Painter, Renee Shermandelin Makita Oswald, and Kenneth Neal Painter Jr. This property was purchased from Valerie Joan Marie Roberts. So this is a notice to the Registry General, which by Marshall Deal and Meyer, barristers and attorneys for the conveyance of the property. And this is Lot A, 0.11 of an acre.
You're just further showing us proof or documentary support of the claim that makes reference to Florence Marie McHale, number 18 Bosses Cove, correct?
Yes, counsel, of her selling the property, where she purchased the property from the Pettys in 1960, and since which the property has been sold or transferred or gifted to various people up until now to the current owners.
That's fine. I'm just trying to, at each stage, summarize, especially so that we are aware and kept abreast. Thank you.
And this states that it was a voluntary conveyance from Valerie Joan Marie Roberts to Carolyn Joanne Rayner, Andre Stewart Painter, Renee Shermandelin Makita Oswald, and Kenneth Neal Painter Jr. And this was dated 6th day of March, 2002.
Could I ask the secretary just then? Oh, sorry, just a minute. The 6th day of March, correct?
Yes, it was, date of acquisition was November 27, 2001. And the document is dated the 6th day of March, 2002, the notice.
Thank you very much.
Slide 153. This is just a screenshot of the Registry General's land transfer notice, which was part of the information that I obtained from the Land Title Registry Office.
Thank you.
Next slide, 154. In reference to number 18 Bosses Cove, this is a notice 33/77 with attached schedule and plan of land dated the 28th day of March, 1977. For number 18 Bosses Cove, owned at this time by Gary Allen Roberts and Valerie Joan Marie Roberts. This property was purchased from Leroy Theophilus Pike. This notice was dated the 25th day of March, 1977. And it was by deed of conveyance. On this particular document, the word Pike, P-Y-K-E, for this particular person, Leroy Theophilus Pike. His name also appeared as P-I-K-E, part of my research. The law firm for this was Madera's law firm, who was also the barrister's attorney for our family of Grace Charlotte Phillip Oates, And this is dated the 28th of March, 1977.
Ask you to provide this document also to the Secretariat as
Yes.
appears on slide 154.
Yes, Council. Slide 155. And this is the schedule that was referred to for number 18 Bosses Code. Next slide, 156. Once again, I have showed the two slides, sorry, the two diagrams of the surveyors, June 4th, 1958, and the one of 1948, showing that the property in proximity of number 13, number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18 of the properties we owned in the immediate area.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to ask to take us slowly. You're listing 7, 9, 11. Just repeat that.
Number 13, number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18 of the properties we had our possessions, we owned. So they were all in the immediate area.
Okay.
Slide 157.
And just for clarity, you're saying they're in close proximity to each other. That's what you mean.
That's correct, Council.
You may continue.
Slide 157. So slide 157 is a notice 91/76 with attached schedule and plan of land dated the 5th of April, 1976 for the above mentioned property, number 18 Bosses Cove, owned at that time by Leroy Philopoulos Pike, and it was purchased from Stanford Emerson Richardson. And it's the notice to the Registry General, the date of acquisition, the 31st day of March, 1976. The name in full, Leroy Philopoulos Pike. Address, North Shore, Pembroke Parish. Nationality, Bermudian. Occupation, maintenance. Nature of interest of acquired fee simple in possession, conveyance of equity. Person, full name of person from whom acquired Stanford Emerson Richardson, and says description of land as described in schedule on reverse dated the 5th of April, 1976. Law firm Francis Associates.
Thank you. And once again, you're just illustrating the property, how it changed hands, so on, so a better term.
Yes, Council.
Notwithstanding the fact that the family still retains the original deeds and did not sell, gift, or in any way part with possession of number 8, what is referenced as number 18 Bosses Cove Road.
Yes, Council.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed, madam.
Slide 158. And this is the legal description of the parcel of land for number 18 Bosses Code. Slide 159.
Yes, ma'am.
This is another diagram showing the properties in proximity to each other.
And you say the properties you are just for clarity, the properties you refer to?
for clarity, is number 18, the one I'm currently speaking about, number 7, number 9, number 11, and number 13, which is currently owned by our family and in our possession.
Thank you, ma'am.
Slide 160. So this is another notice 02/76 with attached schedule and plan of land dated the 13th of January, 1976 for number 18 Bosses Cove. It was owned at the time by Stanford Emerson Richardson, and he purchased it from Carl Hugh Piver. This document is dated the 13th of January, 1976. And it was a conveyance by deed. This also dated the 13th of January, 1976, and the law firm was Madeiras Law Office, which also was the law office of Miss Grace Charlotte Phillip Oates. Next slide, 161. This is the schedule for number 18 Bosses Cove for the purchase from Carl Hugh Piver by Stanford Emerson Richardson. Slide 162. And again, here is the diagrams of the property in question in proximity to the property that my family owned. Number 13, number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18, Bosses Cove.
Ask you to just a reminder, all these documents, the hard copies are to be sent to the Secretariat office when it's convenient.
Yes, Council. Next slide, 163. And this is a memorandum of voluntary conveyance. It's dated the 5th day of September, 1974. It is a voluntary, and I will stress the word voluntary conveyance from Florence Marie McHale, who I mentioned earlier that she had purchased this lot of land, Lot A and Lot B, from Robert Horace Petty in 1960. She's now selling this property, Lot A, to Carl Hugh Piver. This is by Appley Sperling and Kemp, barristers and attorney, registered the 10th day of September, 1974. I would like to also mention that the law firm Appley Sperling and Kemp was also the law firm for Grace Charlotte Phillip Oates.
Now, without making reference, and listen carefully to this question, you have been highlighting for us on a number of occasions, or you have on a number of occasions, the names of law firms that they acted for a party in respect of, when I say a party, I mean either the vendor or purchaser to a transaction. And you have also made the point in respect of, for example, recently, on the slide we are that a particular law firm may have represented a member of your family. You make that point, and listen carefully and be careful in your answer. You make that point to say what, madam?
I stated the law firms in question because they were also representing Charlotte, Grace, Philip Oates, and other members of my family, my grandmother and my great-grandmother, Charlotte Wellman, and my grandmother, Genevieve Hollis.
But they were, and are you saying that, well, I'm not asking you, listen carefully, but the reference you make is that representation was done in respect of the said properties, or does they just generally represented the family in other matters?
They represented the family on the said properties that I mentioned, number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18.
So I'm going to just make a note of it and ask you to take us back to that at another, I'll make a note of it. Just repeat that for me. You're saying that in respect of, just repeat what you just said.
In respect to the law firms that I have mentioned, were also the law firms who represented Grace Charlotte Philip Oates, Charlotte Ellis Wood Wellman, my great grandmother, and my grandmother, Margaret Genevieve Hollis, on the said properties of number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18.
Thank you.
Next slide, 164. This slide is a Form B memorandum of acquisition of land from and or by alien, 21st of December, 1960 to Florence Marie McHale from Robert Horace Petty, lots A and lots B. I had mentioned this in the presentation for number 7 Bosses Code. So this is the same document that I presented in number 7 Bosses Code for the purchase of the land from Robert Horace Petty to Florence Marie McHale. Next slide. And this is a continuation of the schedule for the purchase. Sorry.
Turn on slide 165.
Yes, 165. Next slide, 166. Slide 166 is the Supreme Court case 1976, number 84, dated the 7th of May, 1976, between Mr. Leroy Pike, and here it's about P-I-K-E, the first defendant, and Mr. John W. Swan Limited, the second defendant, in reference to property owned by Ms. Charlotte Ellis Wood Wellman, the plaintiff.
I'm sorry. And what was on page 1, slide 166, under the number 4.7, those are your notes.
Yes, that's correct.
But on the other side is actually the cover page of the Supreme Court case that you're making reference to.
Yes, counsel.
Okay, now why I asked is your note on the left has that Mrs. Charlotte Alice Wood Wellman was a plaintiff, but your earlier note says that the matter is between Leroy Pike or Pyle and Mr. John W. Swan. But on the right, the parties are Charlotte Alice Wood Wellman. The first defendant is Leroy, that is Pike, and the second defendant is
Yes,
John W. Swan Limited. Okay,
yes,
proceed,
that's
ma'am.
correct. Um, To date, I have not been able to find or have a document in my hand of the outcome of this Supreme Court case.
Okay, we have had the Secretariat has been using the requisite legal channels to obtain copies of these judgments. So I will just add this to the list that could be shared with the clerk, P.S. Marva O'Brien, because I know she has made representation previously.
Thank you, Counsel.
Madam, you have drawn our attention to this case. You obviously indicated, why are you drawing our attention to this case, madam?
I am drawing the attention to this case because back in 1976, my grandmother, Alice Wood Wellman, the plaintiff for this Supreme Court case, wanted to find out how Leroy Pike, the first defendant, and John W. Swan Limit, the second defendant, to prove that they were legal owners of this property and or who they purchased this property from to become legal owners of this property.
And Charlotte Wood Wellman is your great grandmother.
Yes, Counsel.
Yes, you may proceed.
And she inherited the property from her great aunt, Grace Charlotte Phillips Oates, via her last will and testament.
And she inherited from her great aunt, remind me of that name?
Grace Charlotte Phillips Oates.
Right, thank you. I'm sorry, I have to ask you over and over again.
It's okay.
So many great grandmothers and great aunts. Forgive. Yes, first.
Slide 167.
You take us to slide 167, Secretary.
And this is a continuation of the Supreme Court document, and it's signed by my great grandmother, Charlotte Ellis Wood Wellman.
And you rely on this just in furtherance of your claim that Charlotte Wood Wellman was seeking answers.
That's correct, Counsel, as to how
Declarations, I'm sorry. Declaration of plaintiffs entitled in fee simple. Okay. Could I just ask you to, once again, to provide these hard copy documents to the Secretary? Could I just ask you to read what appears on slide 167 on the right-hand side under the plaintiff's claim, I'm sorry.
Sure. The plaintiff's claim is for 1, a declaration that the plaintiff is entitled in fee simple absolute to the parcel of land lying between the property of Charlotte Wellman and Joseph Soares situated at Bosses Cove in Pembroke Parish, Bermuda. Number 2, injunction to restrain the defendant, whether by himself or by his agents or servants or otherwise, heresoever from doing the following acts or any of them, that is to say, trespassing on the said parcel of land and building upon the same. Number 3, an order that the defendant do forthwith pull down and remove all or any part of the building erected on any part of the said parcel of land, and the plaintiff's claim costs and damages, signed by Charlotte Ellis Wood Wellman, my great-grandmother.
And this is the second page relating to the document that was on slide 166.
That's correct, Counsel. This is the second page of the Supreme Court case.
Thank you.
Slide 168. This is to say that the writ was served by me on Leroy Pike, the defendant, on Thursday, the 6th day of May, 1976, by Alfred St. G. Rattery, head bailiff.
Okay, you're confused me a while ago. A while ago, you just said this is proof that you served it, but
No, not me.
okay, all right. Yes. You actually were dating yourself, giving yourself an age there. But thank you for that clarification.
Next slide, please, 169.
This is just more of the said.
And this is, yes, this is more of the Supreme Court. 1976, number 84. This is the notice of appearance has been entered for John W. Swan Limited, the second defendant, generally in this case, dated the 7th day of May, 1976. The law firm was Francis Associates Attorneys for the first and second defendant, address for service, Victoria Street, Hamilton.
Thank you. Take us to the next slide.
Slide 170. This is the certificate of service by the head bailiff, Mr. Ellsworth Rattery.
Okay, take us to the next slide, please.
On this slide are newspaper ads by John W. Swan Limited, undated for the above mentioned properties. 1, a 2-bedroom cottage. And number 2, lots number 3 and lots 4 and 6. So these were properties. These were the newspaper ads by John W. Swan in reference to the properties for sale in Bosses Cove. Lots for sale in Bosses Cove.
What's the relevance of, I know you had earlier in your presentation some weeks ago, drawn our attention to this, and by expansion now, what is the relevance of you pointing us to this advertisement and these lots? What's the relevance to your claim?
The relevance to my claim, counsel, is that John W. Swan was advertising lots for sale, and we were disputing the lots for sale because we were at that time and still are owners of the property.
But what we have, the document that is referenced at slide 171 indicates that lot number 1, lot number 2, lot number 3, lots numbers 4 and 5, and lot number 6. Which of them are you making reference to at this time?
I'm making reference to lots number 3 and lots number 4 and 5 only.
And lot number 3, is there, in respect of your presentation, is there any particular address or area, geographic area, that you make reference to for lot number 3?
Yes, the Bosses Cove area, the area in which my presentation is at this time based on.
Any specific area of Bosses Cove? Because your presentation has mentioned specifically 7-Eleven, 18-7, any particular area?
This is in reference, number 3 is in reference to number 18.
And number 18 was that what you're just showing us with regards to McHale and the transfer of that property. Okay. Now, in respect of lots numbers 4 and 5, does it relate to any? It says affording view of Bosses Cove and the Great Sound, but in respect of this advertisement, based on your claim, are you advancing that it relates to any property owned by your family?
From what I have been told, Council, yes, but it's not, it's in reference to another part of the area called High Point Lane. I cannot say as to which lots 4 and 5 refer to, but I've been told it refers to High Point Lane.
Thank you. You may proceed, madam.
Slide 172, next slide. This is a duplicate side of a letter that my great-grandmother had written to Alec Whitney and Patton in reference to the property, the estate of Robert Horace Petty for number 18 Bosses Cove, because he had sold the property to Florence Marie McHale back in 1960. And my grandmother was trying to confirm legal ownership.
Okay. Now, madam, when you're finished with this slide, we are going to take a break until, well, and Chairman, you could advise how long that is. I believe an hour, or as you advise, but you could just continue on this slide, madam.
This is the last slide for number 18 Bosses Cove, and the diagram in the middle, which was a survey done in the 4th of June, 1958 by Cadet and Adams. It refers to the property of Bosses Cove, in which we owned at the time of number 11, number 9, number 7, and number 18.
Yes,
Just
Council,
sorry.
yeah, Council, if we will make this the last slide and your question be the ultimate one, and we can adjourn it and then come back at 1 o'clock. It's my suggestion.
Very well, very well. No, Ms. Franco, the document that is referenced here, what does this document regarding the estate of Robert Petty?
Yes.
You have relied on this for what purpose, madam?
Yes, Council, I have presented this slide previously where the estate of Robert, my grandmother, was questioning the confirmed legal ownership of this particular property, which Robert Horace Petty said they owned, and they sold it to Florence Marie McHill back in 1960.
Thank you. Where did you obtain this document, madam?
I obtained this document from the information that my grandmother had correlated over the years.
Yes, thank you. We're going to take a break here. We are at slide 172. When we return, we will, I think, have the final session in respect of the presentation of this claim. And we will take a break here, Ms. Franco, Mrs. Khan, and Mr. Hollis, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and the Secretariat. We could take the adjournment now until 1 p.m. Bermuda time.
Yes, Council, I'll affirm that request, and at this point we'll adjourn until 1 p.m. Bermuda time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.